You are not a Jew. Karl Marx was not a Jew. Sigmund Freud was not a Jew. Erich Fromm, the psychologist who is part of the Frankfurt School of Commies, atheist commie, social engineers, Hitler kicked out in 1933, came to Columbia University here. Erich Fromm was not a Jew. I'm a Jew. You see, to be a Jew, you have to actually believe in God and do your best to follow the rules. And that's why I get to call it Harvey Weinstein is not a Jew. Sarah Silverstein or whatever, you're not a Jew. You're a nasty lesbian. Sarah Bernhardt, you're an ugly, nasty lesbian non-Jew. Just because, you got some Hebrew blood in your family does not make you a Jew. And I'm addressing this to the YouTube people, which I really love the fact that you only censor people who offend the chief executive officer, like Miggy 101. He got demonetized. But generally, YouTube is a free speech zone with almost no whatsoever censorship. YouTube is the home of the neo-Nazi movement, the white supremacist movement, which I don't have much problem with them, except you consider to be non-white, you dumb fuckers. I'm a Jew. Okay, let me get on with that. Now, as you go through YouTube, you notice that everywhere you turn, there's nothing but a bunch of Jew-hating camel jockeys and Jew-hating Jews. That's really what gets to me, is that the majority of those people that self-identify as Jews, they're not really Jews. They hate Jews. And yet they still work that Jewish stick. Let me just break here for a second. Go like during Passover, I actually watched the video put out by Mayim Bialik. Last name means white. The woman who pretends to be Jewish, that incredibly hideous creature, when in fact Jewish women are some of the most beautiful women on this planet. Mayim, you got beat with an ugly stick. Mayim Bialik. You're on there talking all about Passover and stuff, and yet you, Mayim Bialik, you hang around Hollywood, and your shows, you kiss a known homosexual who recently got Houston, Texas homosexual who recently got married to another man. You can't do that and call yourself a Jew. Look, I really do my best to be an Orthodox Jew. We real Jews, we don't count you other fuckers. We don't. You're not a Jew. Stop calling just because your daddy, fuck some hoe. And I know all you people that you're trying to be family friendly and stuff. I'm going to use the appropriate language. If you want to have me flagged by YouTube, you'll see that I'm just speaking in a normal adult language that appears on broadcast television, cable television, and all this stuff all day long. It's not censored at all. There's nothing that I'm saying that is sexually explicit. I'm just using some occasional vulgarity to express my total contempt for you people who keep calling yourselves Jews when you're not a Jew. I don't give a damn if you're... Actually, I'll use the name Goldberg. I know this guy named Goldberg got a bad speech defect, keeps calling me a fake Jew when he's never read the book, doesn't follow any of the rules, got this big, giant, fat hammock hanging from his neck, and stuff like that. And that's gluttony. That's one of the deadly sins. He's showing the sign of deadly sins. You can't go around just saying, I'm going to pick and choose. But, occasionally I do pick and choose. It's, because some of those laws, almost all of those laws, the 613 laws that I had to learn early in life, but I want to remind you, I spent most of my life as a sarcastic, atheist scientists. It was science that showed me there was a creator, not the book. Science is really a lot better at proving that there's a creation. As a matter of fact, all of you now, I'll give you a little quick, whenever you're listening to some esoteric physics professor, giving some lecture about how he understands everything in dark matter this and string theory that, whenever he opens it up to questions and answers, just be real polite, be the first one to stand up, raise your hand, and go, "Professor, could you please comment upon the first cause?" That gets them every time. You're asking them to explain what existed prior to the singularity, as you guys call it. But the primary objective of this particular episode of Biological is to point out the fact that although I was born biologically a Jew, I got sucked in, hung around with a cat. I didn't go to Hebrew school, none of that. My mother even converted to Christianity, but that doesn't matter. I had the biological components going back for as long as we can trace it, centuries and centuries of Jewish females surviving by having a Christian male as a front. That's how we survived, like the 1260 deportation in England. We were already land barons. The king's not going. He only deported the Jews that he owed money to. And of course, some of that money was ours. But he couldn't deport major landholders like parts of my mother's family who were very soon to set in the House of Lords. So, get back on point. I'm sick of you people. Rule number one, if you vote Democrat, you're not, and you call yourself a Jew, you're not a real Jew. And that means, pardon me, I had to do a little of those, at least I'm not smacking my lips and doing some of the other annoying things I do. All you Hasidic Orthodox Jews in Brooklyn that routinely vote Democrat, you're no different than Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who Hitler called the the American Jew president. Now, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, which is Rosenfeld in Dutch, Pinkfield, he's right about his ancestry, but in reality, FDR was not a Jew because he was clearly, as his history states, he was a Presbyterian. He abandoned Judaism early in life or whatever. He knew he was. So this is, I'm going to try to sum up here, is that YouTube is full of these people that actually I can tell now that they found out that I'm a Jew. I get almost no likes, 0 likes on even when I make the most brilliant and the most informative, educational comments. I'm not getting any likes from anybody now that they know I'm a Jew, because almost all of you on YouTube are Jew haters. And a lot of you, let me remind you here while I've got the time, may have the time. I first met and knew Alex Jones when he was just 19 years old and a mere 170 pounds, and I watched him in a decade balloon to 340 pounds of pure maniac. And one of his followers actually killed a friend of mine, Constable Brian, I'm going to forget his last name, Brian Bachman, Jewish. Brian was just serving an eviction notice to a guy who had been spending his rent money on guns and ammunition. And I just want to remind all you people out there that you don't want to hate the right parties. Yeah, it's okay for you to hate powerful people and to be. I'll move back to Karl Marx. I'm going to kind of conclude with Karl Marx. You're just like Karl Marx. He wasn't a Jew. He hated Jews, especially rich Jews. Even his gay boyfriend, Friedrich Engels, who he lived off of, mooched off of his entire life and stuff. As a matter of fact, it was well known, like Engels would send him like a sewing machine to make his life better. It'd be in the hock shot by the next morning. Karl Marx, by all accounts, he sat around drunk, disheveled, beard all messed up, crumbs, of bread, cheese, and wine stains in his beard almost all the time, unless he, dressed up, actually bathed once in a while and took a photograph. Karl Marx was the typical Jewish named non-Jew. He played upon the cult of envy that exists everywhere on this planet. It's always existed, and built it into an atheistic religion. See, religion does not denote or connote the existence of a God. Religion just means a discipline. And what all of you fuckers have done is you keep trying to blame your failures, your lack of education, your lack of success on the greedy Jews who have a system. There's no system, dude. Nobody's running this planet. Look around you, it's complete chaos. If we Jews were running it, things would be a lot smoother and a hell of a lot more profitable. You people, all of you socialists and multiculturalists and all you people have been sucked into cultural Marxism, into the cult of envy and greed. You keep forgetting rule number one. You can only kill your milk cow once. You can only rob the rich once. That's what the Soviet Union did, and they immediately went broke. They had to steal the food of 30 million. Joseph Stalin, who's probably a Jewish non-Jew, let 30 million Ukrainians starve to death so he could buy tractors and the tools to make tractors. And I'm really just trying to tell you people, there's a big difference. I know I'm going too long here. I hope I keep it under 15 minutes. I'm a real Jew. Everything in contact with my body is one fabric, cotton, even the kippah. And one of the ways that I control my sinful nature is I stay away from the world. I have been doing so very, very rigorously since 2009. You know, I'm going to end it with this. God gave me a miracle that we documented. It's a real miracle. He gave me a slap upside the head. I was already understanding through science that there was a creative force there. I was already beginning to believe in a creator or designer just through the study of the Delta 9 THC molecule, which I'll talk about later. I'll do some little drawings and stuff to show you its magical divine qualities. But it took an actual miracle that I didn't ask for to really wake me up, and that was over 10 years ago. And since then, except for one last fling with a shiksa, which was approved by the Jewish community in which I was in, they know it's okay to mess around with shiksas, but you don't mess around with a real shiksa means nasty girl. But you don't mess around with Jewish women, not a real one. I'll just conclude with this, is the Rothschilds, they're not Jewish. They're committing all of these deadly sins. They're not Jewish. I don't care if they go to own 1 million synagogues. I don't care if they own land in Israel. I will conclude with this one thing. All you Jews, pseudo-Jews, who keep calling yourself a Jew, let me inform you of the legalities. Many years ago, perhaps a decade or more ago, in the courts of Israel, a man argued to have himself declared a Jew of no particular religion, which means an atheistic, non-observant Jew. We don't count you. And that's what set the legal precedent. You can only call yourself a Jew without me telling you you're full of shit, only within the jurisdiction of the nation of Israel. Only Israel gives you the right to call yourself a Jew when you're not a Jew by any way, shape, or form, because we are a religion. We're not